Good evening, everyone. My name is Abhimanyu Arya, and I'm the Deputy Vice President and Head of Finance of Jasol Dialogue. I welcome you all for today's live session on the topic Journalism in COVID-19 Era, Significance and Changes. Before proceeding further, let me tell all the members who joined today. If you guys have any questions, then kindly put them in the chat box and we'll take them after the session. Today we have amongst us a distinguished guest, Dr. Tamina Anjum Qureshi. Dr. Tamina Anjum Qureshi is a senior journalist and an internationally acclaimed virtual storyteller whose pictures are condensed emotions that unfold into cultural narratives. Born and brought up in Kashmir, currently she is based in Rajasthan. With a decade of experience in print and multimedia journalism, her reported and lucid opinions have appeared in various media organizations such as Deccan Herald, DNA Newspaper, Rasan Patrika, Outlook Magazine, and News 18. With an immense interest in teaching, she has also conducted short courses and workshops on visual storytelling, print journalism, and social media at reputed institutions such as Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi, Film and Television Institute, Pune, Jawahar Kala Kendra, Jaipur, and internationally at University of South Australia. Her photographic art has not just been exhibited in India, but also in Nepal and South Australia. She is also the recipient of the National Award in Photography conferred by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in 2015 and Maharaja Savai Ram Singh's Second Award in 2017. She has also authored a book called Social Media and Social Activism. It is a privilege to have you on board today, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jasol Dialogue, for inviting me. Thank you.
So now should we proceed with certain questions?
Yeah. Are we
Right.
yeah.
Right. Now, firstly, since you were born and brought up in Kashmir, was it difficult for you in terms of getting proper education? How was it growing up in turmoil?
Well, I was born in late 80s, early 90s, when exactly the turmoil in Kashmir started. I'm very unlucky to be born at that very point of time, but yeah, things were difficult, pretty difficult. Like, it was very difficult to have a normal school life, like most of us have it in different parts of India, but not in Kashmir. Have grew up in turmoil. It has certain effect on you, but then somehow my parents, my grandparents, my family tried to protect me with all the repercussions of the turmoil. But somehow, when you're a child, you're growing, you're in school, that time maybe you don't get to know exactly what's happening. But when you go to college, you interact, you reminisce, and then you go back to those childhood thoughts, and then you realize that from where you have grown up, when you grew up, what was the valley like, what was the school like. So we never had a normal school, though I used to study in a very reputed convent school in Malanson Girls School. It's a missionary school in the oldest missionary school of Kashmir. But so we never had a 7-day week. It would be usually 2-day week, 3-day week, because it was such interrupted. Like, we never had it. But yeah, I'm again thankful to my school. Even in those turmoil, in the thick turmoil days, they used to help us to have a normal life as the students. Like, I still remember every year going to Shankaracharya Hill. Every year I remember going to cross country runs, participating in the skits and the plays, being a part of the sports group. So it in a way helped us to, be away from the turmoil.
Right. Now, what inspired you to pursue journalism?
So the place I was born itself, it inspired me to be a journalist, because when I was a kid, I was a child, I remember my father, my grandfather, my mother, parents reading news so seriously, because, we lived in a disturbed area, and for even one news, they used to tune into 3-4 different sources. like my grandfather he was a doctor, and he was a very fond avid listener of Voice of America, BBC. So was my father. So for even one news, they used to tune into four different sources: radio, newspaper, television. So I think in the 90s I could see them struggle. I could see the struggle they're getting to find one correct news, to find one. That time we never had this internet, we never had cable television in Kashmir. So I think the place I was born in, the situation I was born in, the people around me, they inspired me to be little inquisitive, to be somebody who can question what's happening around us. And so nobody told me to be a journalist. So that's how I decided that I should be a journalist.
Right. And you've been working with reputed newspapers. So what are the qualities a reporter should have?
Uh, the first and the foremost quality, before I say that he should or she should know how to write or how to take pictures, a reporter should have a heart. He should be a human enough. He should have a heart. If he has a clean, clear heart and he's a human enough, so there will be integrity, there will be objectivity, there will be truthfulness, there will be everything that is a requisite in a reporter or a journalist that we really look at. So I think it comes from within, Hannah. Basically, you should be a nice person. And then professionally, yeah, the qualities that a reporter should have is that he should be swift. He should have an idea what's happening around him. He should know little bit of everything. He cannot be, like you have heard, like you must have heard, he should know jack of all trades but master of none, because there will be one day you'll have to file a court story, some other day you'll have to file an art and culture story, then a political story, then maybe animal related story. So he should have as much as knowledge he can. One more thing, very good public relation, because there is no story where you don't talk to people. In every story, you have to quote people, you have to talk to people, and then only you can write a story. So unless and until you don't have very good PR skills, you can't be a very good reporter. So PR skills means to meet people, to make them remember you, be in touch with them, and follow your story. Then follow your story. If you're doing a story, you just have to follow that story also, because your stories are your babies. Nobody else will come and take care of them. If you have done a story, don't even forget to not to follow that story. So I think these prerequisite things, then in nowadays in the modern era, and when there is a lot of social media mushrooming and all, so reporters should have a very good social media presence, and he should know who all the people he should follow, because nowadays so many stories break on your Twitter, your social media. So even if you don't, gone are the days now you'll be waiting for a press note to come in your mailbox, and then you'll file a story out of it, or you'll go to a press conference. So if you're following their social media handles, the important persons who make news, their social media handles, so you get a lot of stories there, so you can connect with people. So I think these are small prerequisite things that a reporter should have. And even if you don't have them, all these qualities on day one, I think it comes to you. When you start practicing this job, it comes to you.
Right now. Moving on further, challenges in COVID. Currently, the world is dealing with the pandemic. As citizens, it is important for us to be informed. So, do you think that the journalists are doing their job sincerely in terms of informing citizens regularly?
Of course, journalists are, and there is no question of denial. I mean, we can't say that journalists are not doing. Like, we have our front line warriors, we have doctors, we have nurses. Similarly, we have journalists, you, me, or somebody who is at home. Let's not forget the initial days when the pandemic broke in 2020 March. We hardly had an idea what the pandemic looks like. The first visuals of pandemics, the first reports of pandemics, how it looks like, what a PPE kit is, what a quarantine center is, or what an isolation center is, what's happening in the hospital or outside, what exactly the situation is, who are the ones who brought that news to us, information to us, when all of us were restricted for 70 days inside our homes. Journalists were the one who were out reporting and taking visuals, taking photographs, making documentaries, showing in the television channel, on their own social media channel, writing long news. And that would have not been possible without going out. It doesn't only matter you're a print journalist or you're a TV journalists. Going out is important, and my respect to all the journalists, TV journalists, especially photographers, Hannah, who were the first ones. Even if I'm a print journalist, I have an option to work from home, but my photographer friends here and everywhere, they were out on tours, and they were, from morning to evening, not even caring about their families, isolating, not going their own homes by the end of the day, staying away from their elderly parents. So they were doing this all for all of us. So not doing their job in the pandemic, or how sincerely they were doing, this question shouldn't be there.
Right now. And the pandemic has posed a big challenge for everyone, especially for the farmers. So why is it that the issue has not been taken up, and also the circumstances which forced them to commit suicide?
See, pandemic has been full of challenges, not for farmers only, even for the journalists also. There are hundreds and thousands of journalists who lost their jobs in the beginning of the pandemic, or still they're losing it. Every day we get to see on social media, some edition has been shut down, some bureau has been shut down, some newspaper has been shut down, or there are huge salary cuts, huge salary cuts. And if you're saying that what's happening to farmers, okay, it's happening to farmers, but it's not alone happening with farmers. It's happening with everybody. Say it journalism, say it tourism, say schools, say colleges, say daily vendors. So are the farmers, journalists have also committed suicide in last 3-4 months. So many journalists I know who attempted, or who are who are unable to find a new job. But yes, see, when it comes to farmer, why we think that farmer suicide is not only because of pandemic, it's not only because of corona. There have been series of events of the farmer suicide. So now I'm coming back to farmer suicide. You're thinking that why are we not giving attention to farmer suicide? No, it's not like that. Farmer suicide, everybody is giving attention to farmer suicide. But yes, we think that it's being given less attention because some stories get played up, because their mass reach is, it's like, somebody cook somebody thing at home, and somebody is getting a burger for you. So burger is more attractive, but it's not like somebody is not cooking something at home. So it's like, maybe we don't find it eye-catchy to follow. Otherwise, there are people who are reporting about the farmer suicides. There are newspapers who are giving huge spaces on farmer suicides. And let me tell you, in last 5-6 months, initially first 2 months, 3 months, there were hardly any newspapers. Nobody would subscribe to a newspaper, right? So, there has been like everything goes on social media, initially for like 2 months, 3 months. So we think that something is coming in the news and something is not coming in the news. No, it's not like that.
Right. Now, nowadays, every news channel is talking about Sushant Singh Rajput, or Riya Chakraborty's arrest, or demolition of Kangana Ranaut's office, and including her speech. So
see, it's something you chose this question because it intrigued you, and you are asking me about Riya Chakraborty, or you're asking me about Sushant Singh Rajput's suicide, or you're asking me about the Kangana Ranaut. It's because we pick such things. We as audience want to know more about it. There is nothing that there are some channels that are amplifying this issue, which is clear and evident, but there are sane media houses also, sane platforms also, who are waiting for the law to take its course, because it's a sub judice matter. It's in the court, it's in the police. You and me, in the media, this thing, there are people who are doing a balanced reporting. But again, why is this a hype thing in middle of a pandemic? There are many reasons to it. Most of us know why it is. And number two, because it's a high profile case, everybody wants to know more about it. And I think there are many interesting pieces that why this thing has become a most read issue right now. If you I recommend you a piece. It's on NDTV Opinion. It's by Veer Sanghvi. He has recently analyzed why this Sushant Singh Rajput and Riya Chakraborty issue, why it took away eyeballs, and why everybody is trying to divert, digress, whatever. But it's a very long piece. If you read it, you'll enjoy.
All right. Now, as a journalist, everybody has the freedom to express anything, which is guaranteed under the Indian Constitution. Despite that, their lives are at stake. So who's to be blamed for this?
Can you repeat?
Ma'am, every journalist has the right to express anything, and the same
Yeah.
is guaranteed under the Indian Constitution, even though their lives are at stake. So who is to be blamed for this?
Well, who is to be blamed for this? Not anything. Hannah, you said that journalist has a right to express anything. No, not anything. No journalist has a right to express anything. Journalist has the right to express facts, to provide you the facts, to publish the facts, not anything. Anything can be, vague also. The news, whatever a journalist is publishing, going to a newspaper with a published news. So the news should be, it should be verified. You should have your verified sources. He or she cannot, publish anything. And number two, you're saying freedom of press or freedom of, see, it's not a new thing. It's been there since ages. It's been there since decades. But then, smartness is to find your way. Smartness is to find your way somehow, you publish it. If you can't publish something in your newspaper or a magazine, you have your social media platform or you have your groups where you can publish it. But you'll have to find your small ways of doing things. So we say that censorship is not there or it was not there. Media unbiased, there was not government control on media. This will be foolish thing to deny, because there has always been a government control. The censorship has always been there, but now there are degrees and there are limitations. But right now we have so many avenues, so many avenues. Even if, as a journalist, even if my paper or my magazine doesn't publish my report, or, I have an option to publish the same thing on my social media thing. If people follow me, they can read it from there. So gone are the days we would, just wait for traditional media to give some space or give some place to our reportage. So nowadays, your report, your stories can find place anywhere. If you're good with your video, your visuals, there's so many freelance journalists who are doing very good with Mojo, who are doing very good at Mojo stories. I mean, they never went back to the traditional media. So it's in a way that but yes, there is a need for an independent media. There is a need for an independent media, even though I can't, say no to it. Yes, there is. And when we say independent media, then it means, very strong media, which also is a strong, financially strong. You have good people, good journalists, man force with you. So, I mean.
All right. Now, during these times, the journalists ensure that they come up with factual and reliable information. Are there any challenges they face on coverage?
They come with?
And during these times, all the journalists, they try to make sure that they come up with factual and reliable information. But
yeah, in the pandemic. During the pandemic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, so see, for journalists, for us, it's a very huge challenge nowadays. Like since March, April to September, I'll tell you something about myself. Earlier, if I used to visit a government office maybe twice, 4 times, 5 times to meet people, to access documents, to access data, that has now come down to maybe a 1 visit in 1 month, because, it's a traveling issue now. You go there, if the person is not there, your security, his security, and then people in the office, right? I mean, the protocols, are they, abiding by the protocols? And so, the news gathering has become, really, it has become merely either on internet or on phone. But again, if we are gathering news, we are not talking to robots. We are talking to people. We are talking to our confirmed sources who we have in every department. So that legwork we have already done. We know who to talk to. We know from where to get the details, which websites to access, which files to access. So when we know all of that, so it's very easy to even do reporting now. And yeah, there are challenges for most of your reports. You have to rely on your sources, or you can't just go everywhere. But yeah, there are few occasions also where you can't just stay at home and say that no, we can't go out, there's a pandemic outside. As a journalist, you can't. For example, there are some stories which really pull you out. This is where the real testing of journalism happens. So you take your safety protocols, you go out, you wear a gloves, you wear a mask, you wear your shades, tie your hair properly, go talk to your source, talk to the subject, talk to the people you're doing story on, talk from a distance, and maintain a distance, maintain a proper SOP, and use sanitizer, come back, do your story. But yes, for example, even in the crowded places, if you remember, in Rajasthan we had Rajasthan political crisis, and it was here for 1 month. And in that crisis, like, we went out as reporters for so many times. We went out for press conferences. I used to see some media friends abiding by the rules, and some media friends would just barge in, or they will just push each other, especially TV and the camera persons. But then again, you'll have to find your way. What I told you, street smartness, what we call. You can just stand at some time, at some spot, at some safe spot, and write something, make your notes, do something, and then come back, instead of becoming a part of that mass. Because passion and ignorance, sometimes these two, if you mix these two, it's a killer thing. You can't afford to do that. You're passionate enough to go out, which is okay, but then you need to follow protocols, because at the end of the day, you have to come home, you have your folks waiting for you at home, you must be having a elderly parent or a grandparent, so you have double responsibilities. And when you live long, you'll do more stories.
And I must say, this is an interesting answer, ma'am.
Thank you. Because there are so many journalists who have died because of corona, and so many photographers, photojournalists who died because of corona all over India. Initially, now also we are hearing so many of our friends here in Rajasthan, in Jaipur, they have tested positive. And and it's happening while they are on duty, but again, they have a responsibility at home. So I mean, as far as you can, one can always manage this thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing is always also there, that even the government officials, the government, the political parties, they have also started the online press conferences. Even from day one, they started it this time in April, since March, April. So we have that online conferences also. So which is, sometimes it's good also, from home you can go. But yes, it's no match going to the field. It's actually no match.
Yes. Well, nowadays, in most of these times, what people witness is wild hysteria. So can we say that this is an example of yellow journalism?
Yellow journalism, see, there were tabloids in 19th century, 20th century, and we used to call those tabloids as yellow journalism, because they used to give a sensational news. Now those tabloids have been replaced by some television channels, and we know those television channels. So I mean, apart from that, we can't just paint everything with the same brush, calling everything yellow journalism. That won't be right.
Yes. Now, moving on further on teaching and photography, you also teach in different institutions and in different cities.
Yeah.
After there was a conference, there was a workshop conducted in your home state called Jhelum Fables, which inspired youth to join good numbers.
Yeah.
So, how was your experience?
Thank you so much. You have really Googled a lot about me. Thank you so much. So yes, I teach. I love to teach. I've been teaching from last so many years here also in colleges of Rajasthan University. I go to Orissa also. I teach in Delhi also. Taught in Srinagar also, went to Australia, taught there. So I love teaching. I love teaching a lot. But yes, the workshop the you mentioned, which took place last year, it was very special to me because it was in my hometown. And it was not the first workshop there, but it was different because it was on the banks of River Jhelum where I was born. I was born on the banks of Jhelum in a hospital which is situated there. So it was my real birthplace inside a beautiful houseboat where we spent a week together with the inquisitive young kids of Kashmir, and there were interesting pictures and write-ups that came from there. And I think the valley needs more of these creative this thing. This was my little bit that I could do when I was there in last year. I would really love to do it again, though I visited home 2-3 times, but I could not even think of doing it now because there is no internet, like there is no 4G internet. There are a lot of challenges. Like there are so many friends who wanted to attend this session, but on 2G they can't, attend. So there are a lot of challenges there, but I am hopeful that we should do it soon together, soon again.
I mean, it must have been a nostalgic experience, right?
Yeah, it was a nostalgic experience and it was so good actually. It was so, see, my every course, my every workshop, my every class is very special to me. It's very special to me because as a teacher, I get to meet so many new, so many new people. It adds to my perspective and I get to know about so many, you know, so many, uh, so many experiences, and even working with them, writing with them, making them write or making, teaching them photography, it's very refreshing and it's a learning process for me as well. So these courses, these workshops where, end product is something which you can touch, a tangible thing. It's a two-way learning. And sometimes what we can't really sit down at home and write, you can do wonders in a classroom or you can do wonders in a workshop when you're there, so which I've seen in my all workshops, whether it was Jhelum Fables, so it's or the ones I conduct with FTII or IMC or here in the university, or I conducted one in Australia. Everywhere, if the pattern is same, everything is same, but the outcome is different. Your outcome is inspired by people around you, the culture around you, and the vision you have, the perspective you have, the things that have motivated you, the things that have had influence on you. So everywhere the participants will come up with something or something else. So it's not repetitive, it's not sick, because cities are different, people are different. So in a way, it's a very good learning process.
All right. Ma'am, are there any career options for youngsters in media?
Career options
Yes, ma'am. In
for
media.
youngsters
Media.
in media, overall media. So it's a very tricky question. And you have asked me this tricky question right now when hundreds of journalists are losing their jobs. But I won't disappoint those who are passionate enough and really want to join, journalism. Yeah, there is space for you. And let's be hopeful in another 1 year, in another 6 months, we'll have more openings everywhere in the television channels, in the newspapers. Let's hope that like every other industry, the media will bloom once again. But yes, there are, if the traditional spaces are shrinking, the multimedia is mushrooming, the multimedia platforms are mushrooming. So there are so many websites, there are, digital formats where you can embed your writing skill, your video skills, and your photography, or your podcasts, and you can come up with some interesting stories. So your storytelling thing will not be restricted to a traditional thing only where you have to write and that's it. So you need to be a multimedia person for that. And career wise, yes, let's be hopeful. And you need to, do you want me to talk more about it, like what do they need to do, like your graduation, masters, or There are
That's interesting.
graduation courses also. Yeah, graduation in mass communication are there. Many universities cater that. Then you have your uh, masters in mass communication. Then there are diploma courses like IMC and some other good reputed ones cater. But nowadays, I'm not sure that if you're a new entrant, you're just beginning, have the colleges reopened, will you be able to go to the college, or will be the courses online? But keep learning, keep attending, attending writing workshops, keep attending photography workshops, because now is the time where you need to know the, you need to know the skill of all these tools, and whether it's gone are the days you or me will think, though, no, we are a print journalist, we need nothing to do with the photography, or we need nothing to do with the social media. Now everything has become one. If you're a good photographer, you know how to write, you can do a story for yourself, because in the times of pandemic, not three four people, gone are the days like you're going in a car, three four people are going and reporting. Now you're a one man army in these tough times. So develop your skills, brush your skills, and I think let's be hopeful. Like any other career, journalism will also rise and shine again.
Yes, sir, for sure. And since you're fond of traveling, so what inspires you to travel? And how important is it?
Like I told you, it's important for a journalist to be on field. It's very important to meet new people. It's very important to travel to new places. Unless you want to step outside, you want to meet people, you want travel, you want experience. So your stories will be, your stories will be lifeless. The stories, I mean, the stories you write for your newspaper or your platform. So I think it's very important to travel, because travel teaches you a lot of things. Not only that, but it increases your perspectives. You get to, for example, as a journalist, if you're covering an election and you're going to the rallies, or you're going where the rallies are happening, or so you get to know about what exactly the ground this thing is. That watching on TV, talking to people on phone won't be ever a replacement for that. So all the fun is about traveling. So you should enjoy traveling, but I'm so sorry, in the COVID again, we can't travel much. We can only travel. We had, traveling has become restricted in the COVID. We only travel when we want to, because there are so many protocols we have to follow, and I think it's a challenging times we are in, and let's be hopeful that this gets over soon.
Yes, ma'am. That's true. But I agree, ma'am, with your answer that for better experience, it is important for us to travel.
What?
Like you said, that for better experience, it is important for us to travel. And I agree with
Yeah,
that because I'm fond of
yeah,
traveling.
yes.
And ma'am, is there any particular place which you would like to visit in the future?
Every new place I visit is special to me, and there is no such on my list. But I really wish and hope that this COVID gets over and we can really resume our, traveling, because we haven't been really able to travel. But ठीक है, for 6 months, 1 year, we don't travel, so, which is okay. But uh, I think sometimes see your old photographs of traveling pictures, and this reminds you of though I traveled in the this thing also in the COVID also. I went to Srinagar, then came back, so crossed 3 airports. As soon as the flights resumed, domestic flights resumed, I did travel, but the traveling experience was very difficult. I mean, it was very different. Sorry, I was traveling with my parents, so I had to be very conscious, taking care of them, taking care of myself. Then we got our COVID tests done, which were negative. Then I returned. When I came back to Jaipur, I again got a COVID test done here. So traveling, still you can travel when it's needed, but if it's just for travel, then one can avoid it for some time.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not talking about photography. You're an award-winning photographer. Can you
Yeah.
describe your photography style?
Can?
Can you describe your photography style?
Acha, okay. So, like I told you, I'm a very social person. So, my photography style is mainly I shoot humans, I shoot people, I shoot emotions, I shoot places, people, time around me, things happening around me. And since I'm a journalist, so most of my pictures are either from the events I'm visiting, or if I'm going along with my friends, or where I live. It's nothing to do with some food photography or travel photography. It's nothing to do with this. So majorly my photos will have issues, it will have people, it will have emotions.
All right now. Now, among the two tools, writing or photography, which one of them is powerful enough to express or to tell a story?
See, there are two separate mediums. Like your words are as strong as your photographs are, and your photograph is a standalone photograph is even as strong as your thousands and 2,000s and 10,000 and lakhs of words are. So now it depends that how you are. Both are two different mediums. If you combine the two together, it becomes even more stronger.
Well, that's a very good answer, ma'am, I must say.
Thank you.
As a virtual storyteller, what advice would you like to share with the people?
Yeah. Mm. See, we all are visual storytellers. We all post stories. We all practice these stories. We do stories on Insta stories. That's why they call stories, because they have to tell something. Or your Facebook stories, or now Twitter has a fleet new thing that which is called fleet. So I mean, we all are storytellers. The new thing is that look around, read. I mean, look around. So when you post something, it should be meaningful. It should interpret your mood, it should interpret the place you're from. And if you want to say something through a picture, the picture should be strong enough that it should not require much words. And if you want to write about something, be precise and be to the point and be flawless when you write.
All right now. Now we'll be taking questions from the audience.
In my this in the morning, since we had written that there are some questions if people want to ask, I have received 2-3 queries in my inbox. One is that one is a very academic question, that what all eligibility is there if you want to go for a mass communication course. I think I made it clear, but I wanted to repeat is her name is Dipti and she had sent the question. So it depends. If you're in class 12th, then you can go for your bachelor's course, or if you have just completed your bachelor's, then you can go for the master's course. And many universities and colleges are catering these courses. There's a course on broadcast journalism, there's a course on print journalism, and there are diploma courses also. So she's saying that she is an engineering graduate, and does she require to do once again graduation? No, you don't require. You can just like that, you can just go and you can apply in one of these universities or colleges, go for masters if you want a 2-year thing, or you can go for a diploma thing for 1-year thing. And I think many colleges and universities, the admission process is still on. And but again, you'll have to check that will the classes be online, or if they're allowing you to be on campus.
Right.
Fine. I think if Dipti is hearing us, she would be more than happy. We have sent this thing, and there is one more question. How to verify which is fake news and which is fake news and which is not fake news? And his name is Aman. He's a mass communication student from Delhi. Fake news on social media. Okay. So fake news on social media, like we said that, we have, when we have so many platforms, we have so many excessive newses. So there is एक व्हाट्सएप यूनिवर्सिटी चलता है अपना, जिसको हम बोलते हैं कि ये व्हाट्सएप यूनिवर्सिटी है। सिमिलरली एक ट्विटर पे या आपके सोशल मीडिया पे बहुत सारी चीजें फेक होती है। जैसे कभी बारिश होता है, बहुत सारी बारिश, कोई पुराना फोटो लेके आ जाते हैं कि ये तब की फोटो है, कोई रेलेवेंस नहीं होता है, बट देयर इज समथिंग इन कॉमन एंड यू यूज इट। कैसे पता चलता है? एकदम से पता चलता है। थोड़ा सा आपको देखना पड़ेगा जिस जो सोर्स है वो कितना रिलायबल है। जैसे व्हाट्सएप पे चीजें आती है ना, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, या सोशल मीडिया पे, ट्विटर पे किसी ने कुछ भी डाल दिया है ना, तो कितना रिलायबल है? क्या वो इंसान रिलायबल है? उसको फॉलो कौन कर रहा है? उसका जो सोर्स है वो किसी अखबार का लिंक है या उसका खुद का कुछ लिंक है? उसमें लोग क्या बोल रहे हैं? और अगर ये उस दिन का किसी इवेंट के बारे में बता रहा है एंड यू आर एप्रीहेंसिव इफ इट्स राइट और रॉन्ग, देन गूगल मोर अबाउट इट, टॉक टू पीपल, सी व्हाट्स हैपनिंग, एंड आई थिंक 5 और 10 मिनट्स आपके अगर आप देंगे, आपको खुद ब खुद आप बस्ट कर सकते हो कि ये फेक न्यूज है, ये सच है या ये झूठ है। हमारे व्हाट्सएप फॉरवर्ड्स बहुत सारे जो जो फेक आते हैं, अब तो अपने को पता चल जाता है दिस इज अ फेक थिंग, दिस इज अ इट्स अ मॉन्गरिंग काइंड ऑफ अ थिंग, इट्स नॉट राइट। ये कैसे? क्योंकि धीरे 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 वी गॉट टू नो। बट बहुत सारे लोग होते हैं जो ट्रस्ट कर लेते हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इट्स आवर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी टू सिट विद देम, टू मेक देम अंडरस्टैंड if that's your family member and he is taking everything that comes on a WhatsApp as a gospel's truth, then it's your responsibility, if you know that it's not right, ये चीज खराब है, एक बार उनको दिखा के बताना पड़ेगा कि ये देखिए ये झूठ लिखा हुआ है। I do that often with people I know. So I think it's a equal responsibility for everybody. But very good questions. There are few more, but I think in our conversation we have already answered them.
Yes, ma'am, because there are few more who have come with the questions right now. So we have Manisha. She's asked that what precautions do you take to ensure that collected information is accurate?
What precautions I take?
To ensure that your collected information is accurate.
So yeah, sources. When you quote your news, either you quote somebody, when you write a news, either you attribute that news to somebody, that this person said something. If you can see on my Insta, my personal Tabina Anjum Instagram, I've done a story on elephants today. 4 elephants have died in 6 months. So why did they die? What happened? है ना? Who are the people I have spoken to? जैसे आपने हाथी, एक इशू है, 6 महीने में 4 हाथी डेथ हुआ, ठीक है हुआ, पर ये क्यों बड़ा इशू है? क्योंकि इतना जल्दी 6 महीने में 4 हाथी नहीं मरते। तो इसका क्या रीजन है? कोविड के कारण क्या उन्होंने खाना कम खाया, या वो चले नहीं ज्यादा, डाइजेशन नहीं हुआ, जो वो पहले करते थे बहुत ज्यादा चलते थे, क्या रीजन है? सो यू हैव टू फाइंड आउट। तो हाथी मालिक से बात करा, है ना, ही विल टेल हिज व्यू। उसके बाद उस चीज को फॉरेस्ट ऑफिशियल से बात करा, ही विल टेल हिज व्यू, ही विल टेल ऑन, देन आस्क कि अगर 4 की डेथ हो गई तो उसका 4 में से 1 का, 2 का, 3 का पोस्टमार्टम रिपोर्ट होगा। इफ देयर इज अ पोस्टमार्टम रिपोर्ट, आस्क फॉर दैट, सो दैट पोस्टमार्टम रिपोर्ट बिकम्स अ लीगल डॉक्यूमेंट which you can quote. That forest official who is in charge of that whole elephant thing, he becomes a source, so you can name him. If he says no, I will give you the information but you don't name me, then you say that this a officer who preferred not to be named. But if he's more than happy to get published, who's like, okay, you can name me, then you can put his name and designation. So the people I am quoting for my stories, or a journalist is quoting for his or her stories, they should be reliable people. Then only the news that will come out will be authentic and valuable. So because for people who are your readers, they don't know who you have quoted, they will trust your story. So now it depends to you, it depends on you, who are you quoting. So mostly 100% ऐसा ही होता है कि journalists have their sources in every department. Sometimes they reveal the name in the news, and sometimes they prefer not to. And it's always nice to take things on quote. And I record also, because कभी काम आ जाता है, मे बी कल को मुकर जाए, हमने ऐसे नहीं बोला था. If it's an official this thing, so it's a tip, record कर दो conversation. और if you have some documents, उसका xerox रखो. ऐसा document नहीं कोई WhatsApp पे document आ रहा है, we don't know if it's a reliable. But if I'm taking a document from forest department's website or an officer is WhatsApping me means like the document is authentic, not like somebody unknown person is WhatsApping me. फिर मुझे ढूंढना पड़ेगा ये जो चीज भेजा था ये सही था ये गलत था. I mean उसमें और डबल काम करना पड़ेगा. ऐसा भी होता है कभी people send us कुछ भी crap, हमारे ऐसा हो रहा है, then they will send. You don't have to get very emotional कि अरे ऐसे कैसे हो रहा है कुछ करें नहीं, just verify. It's very important that we verify because nowadays forgery, doing things कुछ भी ऐसे ही बनाना is very बहुत ही rampant है. तो इसमें बहुत सारा जब इंफॉर्मेशन होता है, बहुत सारा जब डेटा होता है, क्योंकि आप एक जर्नलिस्ट हो, बहुत सारे लोग फोन करते हैं आपको, ये इन्फॉर्मेशन है ये चीज है, तो आपको वो एक काम है खुद देखना पड़ता है कि कहाँ से आया.
Alright, now. Now we have a question from Muskan. She has asked
Yeah.
that the doctors, journalists, police department, etc. So what is it that gives people strength that they risk their lives for others?
What is?
So what is it that gives people strength that they risk their lives for others?
See, these are all passion-driven jobs. Your journalism, your a doctor. They're all passion-driven jobs. You want to, money, है ना, or financial, this attraction can be never a replacement for this. So I don't have answer for this. It's a very passion-driven job. You want to be among people. You want to do something for people. You want to raise their voices. So I mean, that's something, there's an urge that comes in you and you can't hold back. You go out and you work. Similar thing is happening with the doctors, with the nurses. Though their contribution is very, very high than ours. What all they have been doing in the pandemic, all through the pandemic, is like salute to them.
Yes, and that's very good, ma'am. We have another question from Puran. He
Yeah.
has asked, मैम आप
Yeah.
कुछ अपने पोएट्री इंटरेस्ट को लेकर कुछ शेयर करना चाहते हैं?
यार आई एम अ वेरी शाई पर्सन. आई डोंट राइट मच पोएम्स. आई राइट कभी कभी कुछ लिख देती हूँ, कोई अपने किसी फोटो के साथ लिख दिया, कुछ ऐसा लिखा. तो थैंक यू पूरन.
You can also share, ma'am, anything if you wish to share, ma'am.
Not really, not here, not now.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
ma'am, are there any other questions that?
No, I think the questions which I had received in my inbox, there were 5-6 questions, and we have answered most of them in our conversation. And I don't think so that there is anything that I haven't answered.
All right, ma'am. So with this, we come to the end of today's session. On behalf of Just for Dialogue, I'd like to thank Dr. Tawina Anjum Qureshi for sparing her precious time from the schedule and sharing us valuable information on journalism and the art of visual storytelling. Most importantly, I would also like to thank all the people who are present here, and most of them are inspiring to become journalists and visual storytellers in future. So thank you all, and thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Abhimanyu. Thank you so much for the wonderful interaction. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you, Jasol Dialogue. You should do more of these sessions often. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.